Listen, man, Anthony Edwards, we wanted to talk about this a couple of episodes ago. I think we tapped into it, right? But apparently, I mean, did he get like a $5,000 per month kind of a situation? Because Shorty initially, I believe her name is Ayesha Howard, right? She was trying to move to Cali to get the child support under Cali rules. His lawyers was like, nah, bruh. Boom, bounced it back to Georgia. Apparently, it sounds like it worked because they was like, hey, we got $5K a month for you, which is somebody did 60,000. You know what I'm saying? She could be somebody's secretary. It's tax free. But anyways, so he's like, yo, that's what it is. Well, you know what, beep? I don't want to have nothing to do with you or that baby. Can I lump sum it? How much is it? Can I just pay it all at once lump sum? And apparently, people are like, yo, Buddy is tripping. What's going on? That's crazy. What are y'all thoughts about that, man? Is he tripping or is that smart as fuck?
Yeah, so I think it's smart. I think if you got it, you know what I'm saying, then you better flaunt it. I don't know if that applies here. But anyway, I heard it somewhere. My point here is if you can afford to do it, do it. I wish more people could do it, but they can't. They just can't afford it. But yeah, if you could opt out. Now, but really though, can you really opt out of parenting? I mean, I don't know. Like, what are the rules that say, I mean, because you've given all the financial support and you did tell her, if you told her up front you didn't want to have it, you didn't want to have the child, and she decides to have the child, and you give her all the financial support for the child, I guess you're kind of done, right? Because, I mean, she decided to have the child without you. So, I mean, I was going to give him some flack on, like, not being present as a father, but I feel like with the way men are being targeted, you can't expect. I mean, maybe he'll be locked down with some woman. I mean, I guess that's why you don't have unprotected sex. I'm having a hard time defending this right here. But so let me cut to the short of it is this. He can pay. I say do it. If I could, you know what I'm saying? If I could get more people, if there was a GoFundMe for guys who are back on their child support and could do it, maybe that's something people can look into. Is he skirting his rights as a father? I don't think I guess he don't want him. And I can see him not wanting to be tied to somebody who he thinks is not good for him, who's manipulative, who just had a baby for that, and who will use the baby for that in the future. So I see foresight. And based on the present value of money, right? Technically him paying up front right now gives the kid an extra bonus, right? Because money now is worth more than money later. Long story short. Anyway.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, I
but
was like, money now is not worth more money later.
No.
But
money
I guess that's
now
debatable.
Go ahead. I'll tell you about that. All right, sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, because, so before we go down that rabbit hole, let me get back on track and just say this. So I feel that he did a cost benefit analysis and determined that if he was going to have to pay child support, he would rather, if this is the case, because she stated that there has been no upfront payment. There's been no conversations pertaining to a upfront payment. But I can see him wanting to do that because right now that's kind of like pennies for him in the grand scheme of things because he's young in his professional career. Plus, he already got 2 other baby mamas, or is it 3? No, she's his 3rd baby mama. And so I think he was like, yo, the fact that he apparently gave her $100,000, they said, to have the abortion. We know abortion ain't no $100,000. So, that was payoff money too, to go away. And she instead went ahead and had this baby. And I think my only concern is, like, whether it's smart or not, my only concern is that this absolute desire not to be in that child life is concerning to me. But I actually blame the woman more than I blame him because he put his intentions out there in the first place. And because she was so busy trying to do a money grab, she was like, you know what? He said this, but maybe he'll change his mind, or maybe this. And he's just standing 10 toes down. He's like, hey, it is what it is. And I regret the decision that she has made because I'm not sure how that's going to position her child in the future. Because can you imagine being that child knowing your father didn't want you from the jump and was willing to pay a lump sum payment just to have you out the way? And then more importantly, how would that react to, like, the mother? Like, how would she treat that child knowing that child was just a money grab in the first place? And if he does this lump sum and get this contract in place where he doesn't have to do anything else, then will she now treat this child as disposable? And that's where my concern is, because I think it was shicey of her in the first place all the way around, which is why he don't want to deal with her. to basically try to trap him with this baby because she was just looking at the bag. And so that's where my concern more or less is with this child, and how this woman, being this like shicey ass heifer, went ahead and caused this unnecessary drama and trauma that this child is going to feel later on in her life because he has been adamant about it. And I can't blame him because he technically went ahead and put the money up to get the abortion. He was like, yo, I'll pay for the abortion and I'm going to give you some plus. And she went ahead and did this. And so this is all on her. And the results of this is all on her as well. So for that, I kind of want to be like, fuck you, heifer. But at the same time, this ain't my drama and it ain't my trauma. And so I just pray that this child somehow gets whatever counseling, or don't even know about this, even though everything is in social media, and eventually she'll find out. But, this is sad to me. And I hope one day, once the child is over 18, he'll at least circle back and explain his actions. But if he do this lump sum, I don't see it happening like that. I see him going, I'm out.
I mean, listen, that's quite possible. I think some people have hope that as he matures, I mean, he is 23, 24 years of age. So there's people who hope that he'll mature and maybe down the road will soften in regards to his involvement, right? I think obviously financially, oftentimes there's a concern that men are not present financially, and he's clearly in the position to do that. She took a gamble. She played the game. If it in fact is true in terms of the numbers, there is a financial benefit, in my opinion, in terms of paying that lump sum now, because technically you could literally put that money into the bank account on her side and accrue some interest on it. But on his side, too, he could have also done something similar. So listen, man, it's a drop in the bucket. So I don't really give a fuck about that piece. But I'll also tell you the truth. Like, I don't know that I really care about the kid either, if I'm being honest. Like, I mean, these conversations, I get that our sympathy and our heart is going to be for the kid, in a very theoretical kind of way. It's not like we're going to remember the kid's name. It's not like we're going to follow up. I mean, do we know what happened to Elian Gonzalez? Where's he today? Right? That was a big story once upon a time, and we're not checking for little Elian right now, right? He's probably a grown ass man who got recently deported by Trump. But the point I'm trying the point I'm trying to make is, I think it feel like these types of conversations nibble around the edges, if you will, about the heart of the real problem, which is, I think, like, honestly, we're in a state now where we're having these renegotiation conversations, meaning that, listen, yes, it's your body, your choice. A woman decides that she wants to, they both decide to lay down and get pregnant, but there's an inequity, if you will. At least I think people feel like there's an inequity when it comes to like what happens afterwards, right? A woman can decide to abort the baby or get rid of the baby and the man has no say, right? Cool, and that's all right. But then there's also the flip side where a woman decides to have the kid, right? He's taken the stance that he did because honestly, that's the only recourse he has to make it clear that he wants no involvement. He does not want to be a father, and he recognizes at the bare minimum, there's a legal responsibility that he has to meet in a threshold. And he's doing so unabashedly, which is why most people who are thoughtful enough, even though distasteful, understand the position that he's in, because in how many cases is it so clear what type of time the chick was on? You know what I'm saying? Like everything that she did. So even like the most well-meaning woman is going to be hard for her to defend the girl's actions because it's clear what time it was. And the young man made it clear throughout that he did not want a kid. But at the heart of this story, I think why it resonates with people in some way, shape, or form is because for some reason, we don't want to renegotiate this whole child thing. Right? Meaning that, for example, like, could it be that a man reasonably could abdicate his responsibility to whereby the woman understands that if she's making that choice, she's making it kind of on her own, which is technically what she's saying, but then still legally has the recourse of coming back and expecting him to show up for a decision that he technically is not cool with. And I get it. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of harsh. Maybe it's difficult for people to swallow, but like if we're really talking about equity and being equitable, I think it's at least worth the real conversation as far as, are women open to that? Right? Would that shift and or change, especially with the laws after Roe v. Wade has essentially been overturned? Like, should there not be a conversation between or about how we choose to deal with unplanned pregnancies to where at least both sides going in and coming out feel like it's a fair shake at the end of the day? And I think the truth is, while I'm big and open on, duality and double standards, if we're going to be honest, I think at the heart, especially for a lot of men, they're like, yo, we're not feeling this. And I think many of them envy the position that Anthony Edwards is in terms of not only having the finances to do it, but to like low key wave a big fuck you to the entire thing. You know what I'm saying? Because for him, it is a drop in the bucket. And how many guys would love for that $238 they're paying a month to say, hey, man, what's 228 times 12 times 18? You know what I'm saying? Let me drop this shit off and bitch, get off me.
I'm just gonna say Ebony K would have loved Anthony if they were. Let me not go there. Let me not. I'm gonna be nice.
She
Okay,
would
sorry.
have probably paid a nice little penny for his sperm. I mean, he's tall enough, he's chocolate enough, you know what I'm saying? Like,
That
maybe
would have.
that's where the business really should be, you know
That's
what
what
I'm
I'm
saying?
saying. It would have been a perfect combination. He hands off, and she wanted the person to be hands off too, allegedly.
Yes.
So that would have been a great connection.